Hey everyone, welcome back. I am so incredibly thrilled to guide you through today's explainer. We're going to unpack a deeply provocative, highly controversial sociological argument that was recently presented by Coach de Bruins. We're basically looking at a framework that tries to connect the world's oldest trade with, well, one of our most sacred institutions. Now, just to be crystal clear right up front, my job here isn't to agree or disagree with these claims. Nope. We're just here to break down this complex dialectic argument so you can see exactly how this theory is constructed, step by step, and evaluate the logic for yourself.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp the mechanics of this argument, we're following a quick roadmap today. First, we look at the historical exchange, then the moral conflict. Third is the hidden demand, and finally, a provocative solution. Section 1, the historical exchange, analyzing the framework. To kick things off, we really have to look at the foundational premise the speaker uses to view all human relationships. And it begins with this honestly shocking question. Is prostitution the sister of monogamy? I know, right? It sounds totally absurd at first glance. Like, how in the world could a practice that is widely criminalized and morally condemned be related to the honored tradition of marriage? Well, to answer that, the source asks us to basically strip away our modern romantic ideals for a minute and look at the raw historical evolution of how humans have structured their partnerships.
See, the source argues that both institutions are fundamentally a trade, an exchange of value. On one hand, you've got marriage. Historically, the source points out, this was a contractual agreement where a woman provided herself to a man in exchange for, financial provision, a house, raising a family. It's a long-term agreement with a clear outlook of stability. But then, on the other hand, you have prostitution. This is a short-term, temporary agreement with an outlook of immediate pleasure. The absolutely crucial point de Bruins is making here is that while the timeline and the end goals are like night and day, the actual mechanical nature of the transaction and exchange of value agreed upon by two parties is structurally very similar.
Section 2, the moral conflict, why society condemns it. So, if they're both just different types of contractual exchanges, why on earth has there been millennia of moral outcry, religious preaching, and legal crackdowns against one, while the other is totally celebrated? Well, the speaker methodically breaks down this societal pushback. First off, the trade commodifies the act of sex. Think about it. When you can just buy short-term pleasure whenever you want, the source argues it actually strips away the enjoyment and appreciation of sex inside a long-term relationship. If someone gets exactly what they want right on demand, they're way less likely to find pleasure in the natural, sometimes messy dynamics of a long-term partnership. So this commodification directly undermines stable marriage. And since marriage is historically viewed as the literal building block of civilization, a threat to marriage is a threat to the stability of society itself. That's the logical chain of why society views the world's oldest trade as an absolute evil.
But here's where the argument pivots and gets really practical. Despite thousands of years of priests, scholars, and lawmakers literally shouting from the rooftops that this is evil, the trade still thrives. Why? Well, the speaker offers a very blunt answer. You don't stop a behavior just by telling people to stop. Moral outrage simply doesn't erase a market if you don't provide a realistic alternative. And according to this analysis, our current societal structures are totally failing to provide that alternative. Section 3, the hidden demand. The paradox of marriage. Okay, get ready because we are about to reveal a major, completely counterintuitive plot twist in this sociological framework. And this brilliantly illustrates the core tension of the speaker's argument. I like to call it the monogamy paradox. This is the theoretical concept that the strict until death do us part model of monogamy doesn't actually prevent this illicit trade. No, it actively creates and reinforces the demand for it. It's a fascinating, entirely backward way of looking at the problem compared to how we traditionally view morality. To back this up, the source makes a really bold statistical claim. The primary demographic driving the demand in this market isn't single men, it's actually married men. Think about the logic presented here for a second. Single men are generally free to pursue different partners openly, right? They don't inherently need some secretive, transactional, underground market to experience sexual variety. But married men who have sworn absolute monogamy are trapped by their own vows the second their desires venture outside the marriage. Now, what's really interesting here is this specific quote. What they are paying for is secrecy. De Bruins argues that these married men have homes and families that they actually honor, love, and desperately want to protect. They don't want to blow up their lives. So when they engage in this illicit trade, they aren't just paying for the physical act. Not at all. They are paying a premium for the absolute guarantee that the woman will walk away, will not bother them again, and will never become a disruptive part of their family life. So the illicit market thrives specifically
because it caters perfectly to the unique, secretive needs of the supposedly monogamous man. Section 4. A provocative solution, redefining the model.
So, if strict monogamy is secretly fueling the very thing society is trying to destroy, how does the speaker propose we actually fix it? We're now entering the highly unconventional synthesis of this argument. He states that enforced monogamy isn't inherently righteous, but the institution of marriage itself is. Basically, he's arguing that we've conflated the two. We can deeply value the stability, the family building, and the commitment of marriage without rigidly enforcing absolute sexual exclusivity, which, he argues, completely goes against human nature.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a pragmatic, step-by-step solution. Step 1. Remove the societal stigma surrounding male non-monogamy. Step 2. Encourage an open model of marriage where these desires can be explored honestly with other consenting adults. And Step 3. By bringing this out of the shadows, you completely diminish the secretive demand that fuels the illicit market. The ultimate conclusion De Bruyne's reaches is that if a man wants the family, the home, and the long-term stability, but also desires sexual variety, he should be able to pursue mature, responsible sexual practices with other consenting adults without being criminalized or demonized for it. If he doesn't have to hide, well, he doesn't need to buy secrecy. And if he doesn't need to buy secrecy, the underground market literally collapses. The problem is solved not by preaching, but by adapting our institutions to reality. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question to ponder. Based on the framework we just walked through, does the future of marriage truly require adapting to these arguments about human nature to solve societal vices? Or, by adopting this open model, do we risk fundamentally breaking the very cornerstone of society that marriage was meant to protect in the first place? It's a massive dialectic tension. Take this framework, debate it, and decide where you stand. Thanks for learning with me today, and keep questioning everything.